The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600, and we see most likely the best Coca-Cola 600 of all time. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series from Charlotte in the Coca-Cola 600. There's so much to talk about from this race, a lot of excitement around it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, before the green flag dropped in this race, there was expected to be a lot of caution in this race, and that's one thing that would happen throughout this race. Before the green flag dropped, a lot of drivers would have to start at the rear of the field. Corey LaJoie and Kyle Larson, who both spun out in practice yesterday before qualifying happened. Eric Almirola, Cole Custer, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Kaz Gralla would all have to go to the rear for unapproved adjustments. So at the start of the race, you had Denny Hamlin lead the field from the outside and Kurt Busch on the inside. And Denny Hamlin was able to get around Kurt Busch for the race lead. Now, they were side by side for the first 3 or 4 laps, but eventually Denny Hamlin was able to get around. And then Kyle Busch, who really had a good car early, he drove up there, got a huge run on Denny Hamlin, and passed him for the lead and started to pull away a little bit. The first caution, and many cautions in this race, will come out in lap number 18 for Ryan Preece, who was spun off at turn number 4. And basically at the same time, he had synchronized spins where Chris Buescher and Ryan Preece and Noah Gragson also got involved in the wreck as well. Ryan Preece, unfortunately, would fall out of the race after that wreck, but Noah Gragson and Chris Buescher would continue on. It's kind of ironic after what happened in the Truck Series race. We see all the leaders come down pit road, them taking 4 tires, with Kyle Busch winning the race off pit road. And we saw, like I said, a couple guys end up getting penalties. Mark Truex Jr. for speeding and Todd Gillen for uncontrolled tire. We got back racing on lap 23 for Kyle Busch leading on the inside and William Byron on the inside. And Kyle Busch was able to clear and keep the race lead. Then during the commercial break, for whatever reason, we saw the next caution race come out lap 33 for Josh Blicky, who crashed into turn number 3. We never really got to see a replay. Apparently, according to reports, he had a tire go down. Fox really screwed up on that part. He brings out the caution here for the second time in this race. And then we see all leaders come down pit road and take 4 tires, with Kyle Busch basically winning the race off pit road. And Kyle Larson, after already having trials and tribulation, he would get penalized for moving equipment and have to drop to the rear of the field. We then go back racing wrap around 37-38 with Kyle Busch leading field from the outside. And meanwhile, you had basically Daniel Suarez all of a sudden start really charging up to the front, and he and Kyle Busch get into a really, really good battle. And eventually Suarez gets around him, and in that same corner, Kyle Busch ends up spinning off at turn number 2. Basically has a tire go down and brings out the next caution in this race. We see all leaders come down pit road and all take 4 tires, and we went back racing, I believe, with Daniel Suarez leading them back to the green. But the Hendrick Chevys of Chase Elliott and William Byron were really fast and started showing up, and also Tyler Reddick was really quick as well. And then on that same restart, Corey LaJoie was spin up in turn number 4 with a flat tire, bringing out the caution. On the restart, Chase Elliott was able to clear William Byron and Tyler Reddick and was able to pull away. Now, Tyler Reddick, who got up to second, was really starting to catch Chase Elliott, but he would not have enough. And coming off the corner, Chase Elliott would win the first stage in the Coca-Cola 600. We see all leaders come down pit road, with Chase Elliott winning the race off of pit road after the stops. Alex Bowman would basically get trouble with the left front tire, basically had some issues, and would basically drop from 9th to 29th. Kyle Larson, for the second time, also got a penalty for equipment interference, dropping him to the back. And also, Kevin Harwick would have to come back down pit road for a second time to fix a steering issue that he had. So on the restart, you had Chase Elliott lead the field from the inside and Christopher Bell on the outside. And Chase Elliott was able to clear for the race lead. And then out of nowhere, Ross Chastain, who struggled early in this race, really started showing up in this race and got around Chase Elliott for the lead and started to pull away just a little bit and never really got far out. And then on lap 126 of the race, the 5th or 6th caution race would come out for Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace was probably having the best run he's ever had on a 1.5 miles. He'd been running top 5 most of the race. He spun from 4th position on the front stretch. He was able to get into his pit stall, but unfortunately would go lap down. Tough break for Bubba Wallace, but luckily for him at the time, he would not fall out of this race. And then we see leaders all take 4 tires, with Chase Elliott leading the field after stops. Chris Bubba has some trouble on the pit road and dropped from 3rd to 16th. So on the restart, I have Chase Elliott lead the field from the inside and Ross Chastain on the outside, and see Chase Elliott clear for the race lead. Then we kept going green for a little bit. Chase Elliott had to lead. But then as we kept going on, another caution would come out for more major tire problems. Austin Cindric was having a really strong run in the top 10. Will lose a right rear tire as we're getting closer to the night with the heat tire pressures going up and heat building up in the track. Austin Cindric was spin out from 9th position and crashed his car hard and unfortunately fall out of this race. And then we saw a little bit of strategy in this race where Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson, due to the number of tires these teams had, they decided to stay out where some guys would think all rest of the field would take 4 tires. Meanwhile, Cristobal would get penalized for being over the wall too soon, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Todd Gillen would get penalized for speeding. So on the restart, you have Ryan Blaney lead the field from the inside and Kyle Larson on the outside. And Ryan Blaney had lead for a second, and then Chase Elliott got back around to take the race lead. Then Ryan Blaney, who started his car really started getting sideways after the tires really started wearing in, he would drop the 4th position after getting into the outside wall, but kept going on. And then literally 3 laps later in this race, Kyle Larson, who was 10th after falling back there, he was spun off of turn number 4, but he didn't get any damage. Luckily for him, he basically spun really through the grass and hung off, bringing out, I think, the 7th or 8th caution in this race. So then we basically have pit stops with some guys basically deciding to take 4 tires. Everyone pretty much took 4 tires that came down pit road. And Kyle Larson, for the 3rd time, would get equipment interference penalties and would drop to the back. So on the restart, Chase Elliott lead the field from the inside and Ross Chastain on the outside. And basically, Ross Chastain was able to clear those guys and was able to take the lead and started pulling away. Then, we would see the next major moment in this race where one of the dominant cars in Chase Elliott would hit the outside wall from 3rd position, bringing out the caution, had a ton of damage. He basically broke the front toe link, and because of that, instead of going to continue on because of the damaged vehicle policy, Chase Elliott unfortunately falls out of the race due to that and fell out. And then on the next restart, you have Ross Chastain lead the field from the outside, Daniel Suarez on the inside. On the restart, chaos really ensues. Tyler Reddick basically clips the grass, and Ryan Blaney has to check up and gets turned sideways by a ton of cars, and many drivers end up getting involved in the biggest wreck of the night. Ryan Blaney and Kevin Harwick, Denny Hamlin, Noah Gragson, Martin Truex Jr., Harrison Burton, Michael McDowell, Todd Gillen, Kurt Busch, William Byron, Brad Keselowski, and Bubba Wallace would all end up getting involved in a wreck, with many of these drivers, including some really early favorites, unfortunately falling out of this race. Tough break there. It's just a really unfortunate situation what happened there with Ryan Blaney. Just clipped the grass a little bit and unfortunately fell out of contention. We then went back racing lap 197. Ross Chastain leading the field from the outside and Daniel Suarez on the inside. Daniel Suarez would get an incredible run on the bottom and eventually got around Ross Chastain. Eric Jones tried to get up there and try to challenge those two for the lead, but he never could get up there. And Ross Chastain does not have enough to catch Daniel Suarez, and Daniel Suarez will win stage number 2. And then we have the little cool salute that they always do every single year since 2017, a little tribute in the salute they do where they came down pit road. And after that is a little salute, as it is Memorial Day, and thank you to all the veterans who served our country and thank the people, and we thank the people, So basically, we then at the time would see all leaders come back down pit road, where Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. Hamlin, they all decided to stay out while the rest leaders pit, with Daniel Suarez basically leading the field after the pit stops. And then on the restart, Joey Logano lead the field from the outside and Kyle Busch on the inside, with Joey Logano getting the race lead. And then we saw Kevin Harwick basically get out of shape racing Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for 12 after making contact in the wall and brought out the next caution in this race. And then we went back racing lap 225 with Ross Chastain leading the field from the inside and Joey Logano second on the outside. And we saw Daniel Suarez eventually, Ross Chastain really had a major lead in front of the field. All of a sudden, though, Daniel Suarez started making up a ton of ground because Daniel Suarez had way fresher tires and started actually getting up there and catching him. And eventually, around with 150 laps to go, in one of the longer green flag runs of the race, Daniel Suarez would get around and take the lead. And then the next caution race would come out for Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson was having a very strong run running in the top 15, would spin off at turn number 4 and go through the infield. He would lose a couple laps, but would not fall out of the race. And then we see all leaders come down pit road with them all taking 4 tires. Ross Chastain winning the race off pit road. Daniel Suarez had a horrendous pit stop. And Kyle Busch would also get a penalty for having an uncontrolled tire. We then go back racing in lap 259 with Ross Chastain leading the field from the inside with Chase Briscoe on the outside. And Chase Briscoe was able to get around Ross Chastain for a second, but Ross Chastain was able to battle back. And then Christopher Bell, he would end up basically having a cut tire from 12th position and have to come down pit road under green. And we kept it going green with Ross Chastain dominating and starting to pull away from the rest of the field. Kyle Busch would also basically nearly spin, had an issue with his right rear, and would continue to come to pit road, and no caution would come out. At this point, though, Ross Chastain had a major lead over the rest of the field. I believe had a Daniel Suarez, and he would win stage 3 here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. We see all leaders come down pit road with Ross Chastain not having as good a pit stop as Tyler Reddick, and Tyler Reddick would win the race off pit road. Alex Bowman would be penalized for an equipment violation. Joe Logano had clipped Denny Hamlin on pit road, and some other people have issues on pit road as well. So on the restart, you have Tyler Reddick lead the field from the inside, and Ross Chastain on the outside, with Tyler Reddick able to keep the lead and dominate a little bit here. But eventually, Ross Chastain's car really started coming in, and Ross Chastain passed Tyler Reddick around 7-8 laps to go for the race lead. Eventually, we saw a lot more chaos basically start happening, where Eric Almirola went up the racetrack and made some contact with Eric Jones. Car really started getting loose, and Eric Jones would get a ton of damage. Luckily, he was able to continue on. And then Tyler Reddick, who started complaining about his loose, basically saying he had a left rear tire going down, he would basically come down the road, and because of the debris, after having such a great run, he would basically grab a lot of debris, bringing out the caution in this race. And then all leaders came down pit road after that, and Ross Chastain would lead the race after pit road. We then go back racing with 55 laps to go, with Ross Chastain leading from the inside and Kyle Larson on the outside. Ross Chastain would get a really great restart, and then another massive accident would take place off of turn number 4. Daniel Suarez goes up the track coming off of turn number 4, and Chase Briscoe gets into Daniel Suarez, sending him sideways across the field. Daniel Suarez collects Todd Gillen, and Chris Buescher basically slides into what he ends up doing is he ends up sliding into the drainage down there, or basically clips the grass with the inside of his car, and basically ends up doing 6 or 7 barrels, one of the nastiest wrecks we've seen. We thought the Texas All-Star Race wreck was absolutely nuts. Well, we saw an absolutely crazier wreck. Luckily, Chris Buescher was okay, but that was arguably the most violent accident we have seen so far with the next-gen car. Again, luckily, thank the heavens that Chris Buescher was okay after the wreck, especially because of the fact that, especially after that, he basically climbed out of that car, and I think it just shows currently the safety that the sport really, really has at the moment right now. So, thank God Chris Buescher was okay after that and was able to get out of that car, because if he would not able to get out of that car, that could have been very, very dangerous. And that would basically change the complexion of this race at this particular point, because with Daniel Suarez being one of the fastest cars out of contention, we saw the restart around 47 laps ago after that, after red flag came back out, and we saw Ross Chastain lead the field from the inside and Kyle Larson on the outside, with Kyle Larson actually getting around Ross Chastain and starting to pull away. And then Chase Briscoe, he started catching Ross Chastain and was basically able to pass Ross Chastain, and his car started really having some troubles. And then we saw basically what looked like at the time it was going to come down to Chase Briscoe and Kyle Larson, and Chase Briscoe was catching Kyle Larson near the end of the race. And then with around 20 laps to go in this race, Chase Briscoe gets on the inside, basically closes on Kyle Larson, gets nearly there, and gets loose and starts losing a ton of ground. And then with 13 laps to go, Christopher Bell will get into the outside wall and kept going, and basically I think he had to come down the road for a flat tire. Same thing for Eric Almirola. He would have to also come down the road for a flat tire. And then with 5 laps to go, Chase Briscoe tries to send it off turn number 4 after turn number 2, but Kyle Larson remains on the outside and holds off Chase Briscoe, and Larson basically hangs on to get the lead. And then with 3 laps to go, actually 2 laps to go in this race, Chase Briscoe tries to send on Kyle Larson as they're coming down the backstretch with 1.5 laps to go, and Chase Briscoe spins out in the corner, bringing out the caution in this race and changing the complexion of this race, and Chase Briscoe falling out. Chase Briscoe's got to find a way to basically, at this point, stop literally spinning out, because he's got a car that's been so fast this year. He's been close to winning races from time to time, and he can't keep continuing to make these same mistakes that he's making. We see all the lap cars then come down pit road after that, with Kyle Larson winning the race off-road over Ross Chastain. And they had some strategies where some guys took 4 tires as well. So in the first overtime attempt, that would not be the only overtime attempt, we saw Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside and Ross Chastain on the outside. We go back racing. Kyle Larson got a really, really strong, but all of a sudden, Austin Dillon on 4 fresh tires, he comes out of nowhere and sends it to the inside. They all crash each other coming off of turn 4. They all go 4 right down the front stretch, coming to the white flag, with Denny Hamlin having the advantage. Denny Hamlin, Austin Dillon would get loose in the corner. Kyle Larson hooks him in the front stretch and collects a ton of drivers, including like Austin Dillon, Larson, Chastain, Joey Logano, Cole Custer, and Denny Hamlin had the race lead. It's basically the end of the race. You're trying to go for the victory. I understand what Kyle Larson was doing there. I understand what Austin Dillon's doing there. You got to have a Hail Mary, especially when Austin Dillon is trying to make the playoffs. And then, as this race began officially the longest Cup Series race of all time, we go back racing for the second attempt with Denny Hamlin leading the field from the inside and Ross Chastain on the outside. Ross Chastain goes really, really high up the track, and Kyle Busch tries to get an advantage. Kyle Busch tries to go to the outside and tries to get the lead, but Kyle would lead to the line coming to the white flag with them both side by side. Denny Hamlin's able to eventually clear going to turn one, and Kyle Busch basically gets down to the bottom and tries to run Denny Hamlin down. As they come off the corner, Kyle Busch does not have enough, and Denny Hamlin, after all the chaos in the longest race in Cup Series history, comes off the corner and picks up his second win of 2022 and wins his 40th career race, tying Herb Thomas, and wins the Coca-Cola 600. After all of that chaos and controversy and everything that these drivers had to go through, a driver's been extremely unlucky this year, and a driver's looking for a second win of 2022, becomes the third driver to become a multi-time winner, and it's a guy who's really struggled this year. This is his second or third race where Denny Hamlin's been really up front, so it is amazing to see that Denny Hamlin had another very solid run, and congratulations to Denny Hamlin on picking up the victory. I don't think he had the fastest car in this race, but still, you got to be in the right position, the right time, and Denny Hamlin picks up the victory, so massive congratulations to Denny Hamlin. So now, finally, let's go through the results and give you my score of tonight's race. I think you're here, really good review. So Denny Hamlin picks up the victory. Kyle Busch finished the second. Kyle Busch was spinning out. It nearly spun out again. It still finished the second. Incredible run for Kyle Busch tonight. He's definitely a championship contender in my eyes. Was not really a threat till the end, but gets an awesome top 5 finish in second. Kevin Harwick finishes third. How about that for Kevin Harwick? A guy at one point that was nearly outside the top 30 in this race finishes third. He struggled all night, but clawed back up there and gets a very solid top 5 finish. Amazing run tonight for Kevin Harwick in third place. And that's in tempers for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Chase Briscoe, after spinning out, finishes in 4th place. Oh my goodness, Chase Briscoe, another top 5. Great run from Chase Briscoe tonight. Christopher Bell, after a flat tire, finishes in the top 5 in 5th position. A chaotic night for Christopher Bell and still gets a solid top 5. I think that's like a 6 or 7 straight top 5 or top 10. He's had a lot of momentum, and he's really turning a corner here later in the season. Tyler Reddick, after his issues, bounced back to a very solid top 10 finish in 6th place. Tyler Reddick, I think a win's coming for that guy. He's been super unlucky and gets a great 6th place finish. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes 7th. That is the 4th straight top 10 for Stenhouse. I believe the longest streak that a JTG Doherty driver has ever finished in the top 10. Stenhouse is a dark horse to make the playoffs right now. He's really been turning a corner, and I think he's got a shot to make the playoffs and gets a very great 7th place finisher in the Coke 600. Awesome run from Stenhouse. Michael McDowell finishes 8th. Great run from Michael McDowell. He's had a couple races where he's kind of struggled, but bounced back with a very solid run. Ran top 15 most of the evening, so great to see Michael McDowell get the results he deserves. Kyle Larson, after everything that he went through, that guy had 3 equipment interference penalties, had speeding penalties, got on the outside wall, spun out again later, and still finishes 9th after all that. I will take a 9th place finish as a Kyle Larson event. Yes, I wanted him to win the race, but in all honesty, in all seriousness, I'm glad Larson finished the race and got a top 10. We needed that, especially after the All-Star race. We had probably one of the 2 or 3 fastest cars in this race. We still got a 9th place finish. Good run from Larson at the end of the night, even though it was one of those chaotic races and craziest races he's ever had. Just like this race, he finishes 9th. Alex Bowman finishes 10th. Very solid top 10 for Alex Bowman. He never really was a factor in this race, but he gets 10th regardless. Harrison Burton finished 11th. Nearly got a top 10 tonight. I think he's still searching for his first top 10 of the 2022 season. So, solid run for Harrison Burton. He's been turning the corner recently, especially, and survived all the carnage. It gets top 15. That's what you got to do if you're in Harrison Burton's shoes. Mark Truex Jr. finishes 12th. Truex really was never majorly a factor at points, but he's at points good. But he finishes 12th. Decent run regardless and keeps him in playoff contention. Ty Dillon finished 13th. I believe that Ty Dillon was the only driver that did not have an incident in this race. So, solid top 15 for Ty Dillon. He's been quiet this year, so good to see Ty Dillon finish in the top 15. Eric Jones had a very solid top 15 finish with a 14th place run. Good run from him. 15 for Ross Chastain, despite all the craziness and chaos. He finishes 15th. What could have been for Ross Chastain. Still gets 15th, though. He still finishes the race. Todd Gilliland finishes in 16th. Eric Almirola finishes 17th. Solid runs for Todd Gilliland. Cody Ware finishes 18th. How about that for Cody Ware? Good run for Cody Ware tonight. Solid run for him. BJ McLeod finishes in 19th. Lift Basket's top 20th. BJ McLeod. Joe Logano, after crashing out late, he finishes in 20th. Cole Custer finishes 21st. Austin Dillon finishes 22nd. Kaz Grall finishes 23rd. Noah Gragson finishes 24th. Daniel Suarez finishes in 25th. Chris Buescher 26th. Justin Haley 27th. 28th for Bubba Wallace. What could have been for Bubba. Had a great car today. Ryan Blaney finishes in 29th. 30th for Brad Keselowski, 31st for Kurt Busch, 32nd for William Byron, 33rd for Chase Elliott, 34th for Austin Cindric, 35th for Corey LaJoie, 36th for Josh Bianchi, and finishing last in 37th place is Ryan Preece. So overall, let me give you all overall my thoughts of tonight's race and give you my score of tonight's race. This race, coming into it, I was really excited about. I know some drivers were concerned, and we thought this race was going to be long. Even though this is the longest race in NASCAR history and the longest Coca-Cola 600 ever, this is not only the best race of the Coke 600 ever, this is by far the best race of the season. This race, I thought Auto Club was going to be really tough to top, but this race absolutely delivered. No, I know there were some issues, but really those don't take into consideration this race. 10 out of 10, first perfect score of a race. This is the race of the 2022 season so far, and I think there's going to be no race this year that's going to top this one. This is one of the greatest races of all time. I absolutely enjoyed this race, and a 10 out of 10. Yeah, guys battling for the lead, so many cautions, guys out of control, guys getting sideways, you name it. Everything that could happen in a Coca-Cola 600 happened in tonight's race. So, anyway, that's it for tonight's race before the Coke 2022 Coca-Cola 600. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on page for all the list go over that, and comment your thoughts on tonight's Coca-Cola 600. What are your thoughts? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below, and congratulate Denny Hamlin on becoming the third driver to win his second race of 2022. Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, or technically today if you're watching this, I'm likely going to have a NASCAR news video where we'll see how much news we have to discuss. We're going to do a NASCAR news video tomorrow. And then later this week, I'm going to be joining the Casey Campbell podcast, and I'll be jumping on that channel either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to set up exactly what day to jump on, and I'll be on that podcast. And I also got a lot of things to be excited for, because this week I'm going to my first ever NASCAR Cup Series race. I'm super excited to get a vlog out for you guys. I'm going to be out there. I might be in the infield. I have to check my tickets, but I will be out there for the Coke 600. I'll be out there next week for Worldwide Technology. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody. What an awesome race tonight. And what a great day for racing, too.